what's up, y'all? It's two folks in here now. Hit me with a quick thumbs up to make sure I did this right, y'all. I'm in the car. I'm on the way to Austin, Texas. On the way to do Alex Jones' show. Again, as y'all come in, smash the thumbs up. I'm gonna give some folks a little quick minute to get in here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess it rotated. Anyway, I want to talk about a few things. There's a lot of contradictions in regards to this Candace Owens and Kimberly Klacik thing. And the irony is, in communicating about these contradictions, it almost makes it look like I'm just rushing just specifically to the defense of Kimberly Klacik. Okay, and I want to touch on a few things to give some clarity, maybe some backdrop, because some people feel like I'm attacking Candace Owens or any of that, and I'm not. So first and foremost, I want to make sure that we recognize that this is about a standard for me, and part of that standard is maintaining a certain level of consistency and not being contradictory. Okay, those contradictions are very clear with a lot of people, or not even a lot. I believe that as we travel around this whole great nation, I believe that there's a lot of people that are less extreme. I think that a lot of people, because drama sells and ignorance sells, and it's easy to say cliche things that don't really have any, substance. Those people get kind of pushed to the forefront, okay? And I'm more so speaking to a bunch of people that say, they're Republicans, or they're really rhinos, or say that they're conservatives when they really just statists. These things actually make are contradictions. And I think there's less people like that, but a lot of times those less amounts of people are more popular, or because they're less principled, they're willing to do anything for clicks, views, so forth and so on. And I think that's a clear case of what we're dealing here. So let's back up a little bit. One, Kimberly Klacik is not from the hood. Kimberly Klacik, everybody been knew this for years. Used to be Kimberly Klacik ran and had a viral video and blew Baltimore and got beat up. Me personally, I ran in Philly as a libertarian. I did not run as a Democrat. Philadelphia is 90% Democrat. Okay? So many people told me don't run as an independent, as a libertarian, at least an independent, at least just go Democrat. No, that's not principle. So when people say these things like she should have ran in the district, and that's not actually where the work is needed the most. People said the same thing about me about Black Guns Matter. Don't go to states or cities that are anti-gun. Why would I do that? That's stupid. We have to do the work where it's needed the most. And the irony of people saying that call themselves red-blooded American, strong, immigrants from America, all of these people that say all of these things then turn around and say, why didn't she go somewhere where it's needed less, basically? Why wouldn't she go somewhere where it's easy? Is that what we telling everybody now? So that's one thing. So some of these things I'm taking some type of way because it's indicative of the mentality on both sides. It's indicative of the mentality on both sides that somehow you're supposed to only go for good wins. The whole Rocky and Creed franchise, Rocky is a legendary American movie based on people overcoming odds. When people say that, like they clearly don't understand American history. Imagine back in the day, since they love America so much, so they say, right? Imagine if the founding fathers, who were up against Britain, which was the most powerful military in the world at that time, imagine if they wouldn't have done that. Imagine if Harriet Tubman wouldn't have just fought against captivity. Imagine if just like all of the great stories, all of the great fights for freedom and liberty would not have happened if people took that mentality. So that's the first thing. When people say, well, she should have ran, she's just raising funds in an area because Rocky in the movie, in the Rocky movies, after Rocky even won a bunch of times against all odds, even his wife said, you see, you know him, you see how strong he is, you can't win. Yeah, so we did lose signal, but we got it back. If you got the signal back, please hit the thumbs up button. So that's one. That's a contradiction. People saying that she shouldn't have ran or shouldn't have raised money because she should have moved to a different district than ran in that district. I disagree with that. And it speaks to the contradiction is, why are we conservatives saying, and I'm going to Candace Owens in a second, right? These people that say you shouldn't, because she's been saying it too, you know, in so many words. You're just extracting people of their money and not doing anything with it. Okay, so let's look at Blexit, the black exit from the Democratic Party. Okay, let's look at Blexit. They're, based on what we know, they've raised about $7 million to get black people to exit the Democrat Party. In the years that Blexit has existed, that has not happened. They haven't. If now either there was cheating done in the election or it wasn't, and if it wasn't, then that stands that primarily black and brown folks continue to vote Democrat, which is your actual thing. So you raised $7 million and you haven't seen any growth. And so another argument is, well, Kimberly Klacik didn't do any voters registration drives. I didn't do voters registration drives in my race, nor does Blexit. Blexit doesn't do changing people's voters registration. So the difference is, in my example, for me, is we raised and gave away about $400,000, a little over $400,000 in about 4 years. And we had a stated goal of, we're going to make black people be the new largest gun buying demographic in America. As of March 2019, we accomplished that. So you can see some impact on our work at Black Guns Matter with a fraction of the money raised. So you do need to raise money, even for an seemingly unsurmountable task, and all of these things are surmountable if you put the work in. So we raised a little bit of money, and we saw one of those goals be accomplished. Imagine if I would have said, well, it's unwinnable, so let me not. That's dumb. And we were able to do it with a little bit of money. So you do have to raise money. And on top of having to raise money, you have to spend that money. The money that was raised, we get around GoFundMe money at all. But you got expenditures, you got flights, you got travel, you got camera people, you got lawyers, you got gun ranges, you got all of these different things. Same thing with a political campaign. So the argument was, oh, she ran around the country and raised $8 million. Kimberly Klacik, for a local election, ran and raised $8 million. Blexit has ran, to my understanding, currently $7 million. It's starting to look like a little bit of hate. And, okay, if Kimberly Klacik lost, and if Candace Owens, Blexit lost too. Blexit lost because the big Super Bowl of voting was the presidential election. And if we're contending that there's no cheating, right, barring the Arizona audits and things of that nature, right, then you raised $7 million and you lost. Okay, my bad, y'all. I'm on the highway and I'm by trucks. So we could say, okay, Blexit didn't win. And since Blexit didn't win, you know, on a local, state, or whatever, what about that $7 million that you raised? Are you going to give it back? See, the contradiction is, we attack, which again, this comes from a petty squabble. This started from when Kimberly Klacik was critical of Candace Owens having a conversation about Juneteenth, saying Juneteenth is dumb. And I think that's a dumb statement. I agree with that. Juneteenth isn't dumb. It isn't dumb. It's not lame. It's recognizing that the African American and conservative experience, black conservatism, some people were kept in the dark for some time, and that's when they recognized their independence. That's not lame. That's American history. That is American history. So what she did then decide to do was dig up this dirt on public paperwork on Kimberly Klacik, and then attempt to dox her, and then attempt to allege that, oh, you're doing wrong things with the money because you spent the money and the money looks strange and da-da-da-da, allegedly, and I don't know and I haven't verified. That's dumb. How is this also dumb? It's also because nobody's now talking about the damn near $1 billion that Democrats funneled via BLM through Act Blue to the Biden administration. We're not talking about that. So the smart thing for these so-called conservatives is statists to do is to attack the black woman that's in a blue city, that's trying to fight in a blue city, that isn't pandering, that's just telling harsh truths, that did raise money, that spent it on expenditures. Now all of a sudden, we are ignoring the Democratic Party and their raising of almost $1 billion. But this is where we're putting our energy and attention on. I take a lot of these things personal, not because of the individuals. Because then the argument is, well, Maj, you seem to be going to bat for her a lot. Was she paying you? No. Our movement needs to get past this argument of, or these positions of inconsistency and cherry picking. Cherry picking. Somebody just said that. Trump brought up making Juneteenth a federal holiday last year. They was all for it. Now, when Biden administration does it, when he got the idea from Trump, not to mention the fact that there's been a bill since like the 80s, like 89, right? Where they were trying to make Juneteenth a federal holiday since the late 80s. But now that it happened under the Biden administration, now them same so-called conservatives are cherry picking. The cherry picking and the moving of the goalposts and the lack of standard and consistently sticking to the standard is the problem in the libertarian, independent, and conservative movements. It is. It is. Somebody says, Alice says, it does seem petty. I understood Candace's statement about Juneteenth to mean that Biden was using it to pander. Kim didn't seem to understand that perspective from Candace, but then Candace hit back. So no, I disagree with that. Let me tell you what I disagree about that with. I don't think in any way, shape, or form was it, I don't think Candace took that misunderstanding or Kim took that misunderstanding. I think it was an opportunity to attack someone that questioned you publicly. That's what I think. I think it was, how dare you? And I'm already a little heated that you raised $8 million and we at the time only raised $7 million. All of that's dumb. The reality is this. If the Democrats thought that Kimberly Klacik would have been doing something improper with the funds, the Democrats would have absolutely called for an investigation. They would have. They would have called for an investigation. They would have. Like they do all of the time. You can't just raise, $7-8 million, be a potential threat to the narrative and think that the Democrats aren't going to reach out. Don't just stop. Just stop. Let's stop with the dumb stuff. So now what we got is somebody saying these things when all of these records are public. Oh, it does look strange. Okay, I'll give you what looks strange for me. When you run as someone that ran for political office, I raised about $70,000 in a few months, right? The amount of people that you got to pay for phone banks, for phone calls, for canvassing, it looks like I was giving the money away to the people that was printing up my flyers and shirts. It looks like that. It could look like, well, Maj, you got a t-shirt company. How we know you? It just looks like that. Until you sit down and go through all of the expenditures. But the thing is, those candidates have to give those expenditures already. The state or the city already has that information. And if they see irregularities, they're going to go, this looks irregular, and they're going to run an investigation. Kimberly Klacik has not been under an investigation. We seem to understand the importance of actual court and not court by public opinion. We seem to understand that when it's a politician that we like, but then when somebody else that we like says the opposite, we forget that. We forget that. We forget to go, oh wait, this isn't actual a fact. These are allegations, and that money was raised almost a year ago at this point. And they've had it, the so-called authorities have had over a year to go over these campaign finance information. So now we got somebody out of a petty reason that does no work in the black community that has also raised $7 million and has not approved or accomplished what their stated goal is, attacking to do work and win something in a predominantly blue city. Now we're attacking them out of some schoolish, childish, immature, petty beef. It's dumb, and it's a contradiction. Then they say, well, you need to get away from these people, but they still get behind Trump or other Republican candidates. They do. They get behind these other candidates. Trump has been alleged to be money misconduct, this, that, and the third, all of this other stuff. But they said none of this. And the reality is they still not looking into Act Blue. They're still not looking into the BLM money being funneled into the Democratic Party right up to Joe Biden. They're not looking into that, but they're telling you as conservatives and independents we need to investigate this with Kimberly Klacik, who ran a local Baltimore election. Dumb. Let me block somebody real quick. My bad, Joe. Let me block this person right here. Boom. So we gotta do all of these things, and I have to explain these from several levels. So the question comes this: they'll say, "Oh, well, why are you giving people money or raising money to run in a campaign in an area that we know is unwinnable?" Okay, so if we're saying that these things are unwinnable for certain candidates, then why are we fundraising or going to events for Blexit? If the Democratic Party or the black community is just unwinnable in blue cities, and we can't turn them into independents or libertarians, or in their case, Republicans, right? If you can't do that, then why are we going to Blexit rallies? If you're saying don't spend money or support a candidate that's actually running boots on the ground in an area, right, that's actually doing that work, and then you say, well, that was dumb, she shouldn't have ran in an area that's been, it's 90% black, that's a waste of time. What is the purpose of Blexit? Because to my understanding, all of the areas that are heavily black are heavily Democrat. And your stated purpose that you raised $7 million for, that we still don't have any transparency on, if that's the case, then why should we support Blexit? It's just a contradiction, y'all. It's just back to back. And in this case, I agree with Kim. Kim critiqued her on her statements about Juneteenth, and I think she was right there. And again, I have to say this again, because some of you goofies, y'all gonna pretend like I slept with Kimberly Klacik. You're gonna pretend like, oh, that's just because she can't come into the Solutionary Summit. No, none of that. Right is right, wrong is wrong. The Solutionary Summit is about people that are objective, that are willing to fight in areas and put their back against the wall and do the fight to through political education, inform the people in these areas that we need to move in a different direction politically. Blue Collar Intellectual with the $5 super chat. Blexit and BLM are both grifts. Both talk and provide no solutions, and the local chapters do everything independently. 100% agreed. Everybody wants to do a super chat, do a super chat. And we appreciate all of those donations. That money goes to the work that we're doing. Okay? So we gotta call it, we gotta stop being contradictory. These people are super contradictory. And that's the part where I fell back. And if you know me, y'all know that I've done Candace's show. You know that I've been very critical and supportive where and if and when need be. Okay? I want to be clear about that. I have been. But after a certain point, the rhetoric, the tantrum, the Grayson, these people, the Candace, the rhetoric is very just saying you want to help the black community exit from X, Y, and Z, but none of your actions or rhetoric support that at all. It doesn't support that. And okay, forget the rhetoric. Forget mean tweets. Forget mean tweets. What are the outcomes? What are the results? We raised and gave away $400,000 to make black communities buy a bunch of guns. That was our stated purpose. We did it. Now the next stated purpose is, since everybody else thinks it's unwinnable, we're going to shift voting trends based on those new gun owners in those cities. That's the next goal. I'm saying it now. Your man Clover Tactical, what's up? $10, heads down, hustle and keep doing that great work. Appreciate you. So these are the things that we are actually going to do. We already did one goal. We're going to do another. We did that with $400,000. Okay? But that was just to educate people across the country in these classes and so forth and so on. So we did that. The question that we have to ask is, why are we consistently saying we can do it, we can do it, we can do it, up until someone that we maybe don't like or disagree with, now all of a sudden they can't do it? It's the highest contradiction of the highest order. And these people are wrong. And again, over time, I start to look at, okay, I can ignore what you say for a while because I look at what you do. I look at what you do. And what they have done is they're starting to look like the ops. They're starting to look like the ops. They have not turned anything over. They've raised money. They've only attacked black people and Democrats for their base, but they've only attacked black people trying to do the work in the community. Brandon Tatum, Bryson Gray, these guys have attacked me for my false rape charge that I got exonerated. The judge threw it out. They brought that up. They attacked that. But then at the same time, when Kingface supposedly dies, they say nobody should talk about him in after death. Meanwhile, after Ahmaud Arbery is murdered, they say negative things about, it's just back-to-back contradiction. These same people stood beside Kingface when the allegations, because then they understood very clear, oh, those are just allegations. There's no evidence or proof to that. Even though there was evidence, right? Right? And, you know, unfortunately, he passed beforehand, but they stood next to him. And even after he died, when the allegations were heavy, they made a whole tribute to Kingface at the Blexit rally. There were women coming out of the woodwork saying he knowingly infected them with HIV. Out of the woodwork. Consistently being contradictory. They know how to stand next to Trump when he catches hell for allegations, but when she does it, somehow they don't know how to do it. You understand? The contradiction is what it is for me. So I wanted to be clear about that because of the fact that I don't want anybody to get it twisted. I have never received a cent from Kimberly Klacik, ever. Be clear. I've never received a red dime from Kimberly Klacik or any of her subsidiaries. Okay? At all. What I'm sharing with you is, for me, this ain't about her or Candace per se. This is about the overarching theme of people standing in a way because they're grifters attempting to sell books, merch, all of these other different things off of the back of unsuspecting people. But meanwhile, they don't even believe, if they're saying that you shouldn't fight when it's unwinnable, they don't even believe the thing that they're saying. But they're raising money for the thing that they're like, it's unbeatable. Then we should stop giving them money. We should stop, or unless they just don't recognize how contradictory they're being. It's one or the other. It's one or the other. And I'm saying this to y'all because I want to clear up what my position on these things are. Okay? I'm going to always stand for consistency, maintaining a standard, and exposing the contradiction to the maximum degree. To the maximum degree. And right now, these people are running around hella contradictory. They have to come up with new ways and energy to generate, because Trump ain't in office no more. Trump, if you notice, Trump been stepped away from all of these people. You don't see Trump around Candace. When people like Sonny Johnson and people like Angela Stanton King started being more vocal and saying like, yo, I get it. Trump had to listen to advisors. His advisors ain't know at that time. His advisors ain't know. Blue Collar Intellectual says, results of BLM is destroy city blocks and Blexit call black people plantation. Hold up, let me read that again. Plantation dwellers, chimpanzees, Juneteenth lame, and black people irredeemable. It's true. So when Trump recognized through his advisors and people were saying like, we don't bang with her. If you notice, he stepped away. He stepped back from Charlie Kirk. He stepped back from Candace Owens because they're vitriol. They don't do any work in the community. That's why I had to start being more vocal and creating distinction for myself. That ain't gonna spill onto the Black Guns Matter work. It can't, because them looking how they are, and because they're popular right now, and because we have been quiet and not saying anything and not highlighting voices that are actually willing to do the work in these communities, because we can win these battles. We can win in these places. If I won with Black Guns Matter with less than $500,000 and a little bit of time and some elbow grease, then we could win with a whole lot more resources. So no, I disagree with that. And for them to say that it's unwinnable is a contradiction to their own existence in their organization. It's a contradiction. So yes, we can win. Yes, we can win. You know what I mean? And my position is, stop with the contradictory stuff. And my position is to tell y'all what my view and objective bird's eye viewpoint in this scenario is, so we can make more informed decisions of where we're giving our energy, our financial support, all of these different things. Because if not, we're going to keep going in a direction of just highlighting people that don't actually care about the people. They care about book deals. They care about being views. Somebody tweeted, you know, paid views is a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug. And we have to really, really recognize this. Until these people are doing work in these communities, and I don't mean just holding an event. Just because you had an event in a community doesn't mean you're doing work for the community. It means you had it in Bankhead. Bankhead is not the hood part of Atlanta. It's not. I was there at that. I spoke at that Blexit event in Atlanta. I did. I spoke at the Youth Leadership Summit, the first one in 2018. Tatum invited me to it. If I was such a horrible person, why did he invite me to it? All I'm saying is when you don't stay in line with what their agenda is or their donor class, because that's what I believe is happening too. Their donor class isn't really giving them the energy no more, because even the donor class is like, yo, we gave y'all money, y'all didn't do anything. Y'all didn't secure the vote. And you can't secure the vote from people that don't like you. And they don't like you because of how you talk and how you approach the scenario. I was able to get more done with far less resources because I can tell harsh truths without attacking people or making them feel bad. You understand? And that don't mean I'm pandering either, because I never pander. But that's what these people do. They are selling tickets and merch to white conservatives to justify saying dumb shit. And the white conservative don't want to look racist. And they go, well, listen, I'm not racist because look, she's black. Look, he's black. They said it. It's the oldest trick in the book. It's the oldest trick in the book. And that's their hustle. I'm not knocking their hustle. I'm going to knock their hustle when they hustle get in the way of my activism. My activism is actually turning these blue cities purple or independent or red, or at least allowing people to have more of a mix. It shouldn't be a 90% clip. It shouldn't be that all across. That speaks to a heavy level of conditioning. So when they hustle start getting in the way of my activism and my work, not my hustle, then I'm gonna say something and I'm gonna create clear distinction. Right now, Candace is wrong. A lot of her talking points are wrong. She's pulling from Sowell on some areas, but I think Thomas Sowell was horrible on culture. That's why he didn't get the lane and the love that he should have. Walter Williams was great on culture and great on economics. That's why he got the love. Shout out to him being from Philly as well. You see what I'm saying? So we have to really pay attention to these things. Somebody gave D-Rock gave $5 chat. Appreciate that. He ain't say nothing. Blue Collar Intellectual says, I spoke to the donors and they're mad at Candy along with all of the other grifters. They also want to back solutions over politics and basic marketing. Correct. The donor class is like, bro, you ain't. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the donor class, if they would have gotten the results, maybe the donors would have still rocked on. But they haven't, because they didn't get the results. They didn't get the results. You gotta, and I'm not mad at that. We want a thing. We want a voting block. That makes sense. I'm not mad at somebody wanting a voting block. I want the voting block to defend the Second Amendment. That's what I want it for. And if I'm putting money into it, and let's say if 3-4 years went by and we didn't make there was more anti-gun black folk, then what I'm doing doesn't work. It's not complicated. It's not a personal attack. What they're doing doesn't work. It works for them individually. It helps them raise $7 million with no actual goals accomplished. None. None of the stated goals or agenda has happened. It hasn't. And you could blame it on, oh, well, Trump alienated the community on this. No, he didn't. He got more of the black and brown vote since 96 and like Perot or whatever year that was. Then when he kept standing too close to them, boom, it made it more difficult. And that's even before we had a conversation about the Democratic cheating and the election machines, and because I believe in all of that too. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying to y'all is where we have to be very critical, even of me. I've been very objective and very honest about my past because I can't let nobody use my past against me. And that's another thing. They're making these ad hominem personal attacks on she used to be a stripper. So what? So what? So what? She not no more. And even if she was, if she could be, look, if she was a stripper, she might have got more, of the vote in Baltimore if she was currently one. So y'all gotta like stop playing this game, man. Stop. They're wrong. They're inconsistent. They're doing the same thing that they're saying that other people are doing. They have no proof of it. The organized body that is responsible for investigating those things have had damn near over a year they've had that paperwork. You got to file that paperwork every couple of months. They've had that paperwork. They saw no wrongdoing. She took a petty squabble of being critiqued about her statements about Juneteenth and then made all of this stuff up, got Brandon Tatum's wife to start doxing, who's also been very disrespectful to black women, especially black conservative women. You know what I'm saying? Evan says, great insight on Sowell and Williams. Thank you. Blue Collar Intellectual says, Trump numbers with black men dropping 17 points after the last Blexit rally at the White House. Boom. Boom. They're wrong. They're defending their wrong and hiding behind the words like alleged and I haven't confirmed this. Then if you haven't confirmed it, why are you bringing it to however many followers you got as if it's accurate? Because it's a slander. It's libelous. It's a smear tactic. Now you potentially gonna get sued, and now the movement becomes even more splintered. Now don't get me wrong, I'm cool with moving splinters out of the actual wood that we can use. Splinters ain't good for nothing but poking at your thumb. That's all. You know what I'm saying? And these people ain't conservatives. They are statists. That's why it's back to blue. Don't ever be critical of the blue. Blue get stuff wrong sometimes too. It's this gang mentality. They are wrong here. They are wrong here. So I'm not attempting to defend, Kimberly Klacik. I'm attempting to defend conceptually what is a standard. And when I keep seeing people be so inconsistent, it's almost like if you lean more right of center, right? People from your family say, damn, you only attacking the Democrats. No, I'm not. The Democrats are always doing a bunch of goofy shit that is not in alignment with constitutional values, saving the republic, so forth and so on. So it looks like I'm just trying to attack the people in my own community or my family or my loved ones. It's not. They're just doing a lot of wrong stuff that I have to, if I'm being objective, they're not maintaining a standard, so I have to say something about it. Then it looks like, oh, you just backing up Trump. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But we got to keep that same energy. When I'm checking the media, because the media is slipping his words and editing in a certain way, Biden just pretty much said yesterday, the American public could get nuked, and I'm paraphrasing, could get nuked by the government. No mainstream people are picking that up. No mainstream or media outlets are picking that up. And I hate to do this comparatively, but can you imagine if Trump would have said something like that? Can you imagine if Obama would have said something like that? All I'm telling y'all is, when you start to and critique everybody based on the standard, two things happen. One, the side that falls on the wrong side of the critique will call you all kind of names, even though you can show where they're cherry picking. And the other thing that'll happen is a bunch of people will pretend like the standard doesn't matter when it's their side winning. You know what I'm saying? King Vegeta says, when are you coming back to Los Angeles for training? I should be over there this summer. You know what I'm saying? Thanks, King Vegeta. Yo, y'all, we had a small amount of donations. Donate some more money, yo. Like, come on, donate more. I don't know if that's like the politically correct way of saying that. Donate some more money. You know what I'm saying? Gun community is picking it up, biting off the chain. Correct. All I'm saying to y'all is we have to maintain that balance by being objective and maintaining a standard. And right now, that's not what it's not what Conservative Inc. is doing right now. They're not. They're doing the exact same thing that the left does, and now they're doing it on someone that's actually doing some sort of work and has been successful at least raising that type of money. And they're doing it because their donor class isn't reaching out to them anymore. And now they're just trying to fire up their base on top of the petty squabble and not even their base, their YouTube views, their clickbait. They clickbait us. And that's not gonna get our movement, popping. And when I say our movement, I mean independent, I mean conservative, and I mean libertarian. I mean all of that. We need all of that to overthrow this matrix that is the Democratic Party. All right. So I'm Ghost Jaw. Sharon Cundiff with the $10 donation. Appreciate that. I'm here, y'all. Yo, tap in real quick. Tap into the Alex Jones. I'm about to go on in a second. All right, y'all be safe. Be solutionary. Barry Atkins with another $10. Appreciate you. Hold on one second.